Hey guys, Dan here, along with Justin.
Hey.
This is the long-awaited finale.
Follow-up, yeah.
To the top 100 of 2019. We started this, it would have to be March.
Yeah.
We were just talking off air. About a week after we recorded is when everything shut down. And we had tried to do... The goal was to do all 100 movies in one shot, but we ran off at the mouth a bit, so I ran out of room on the camera and all of that. And then it was like 4 in the morning anyway. So we wrapped it up, and I said, okay, well, let's just do it next week or something. And then
everything else happened.
So you're actually the first guest I've had here at the house since the shutdown. And I mean guest in every sense of the word. Like, I haven't had anybody here for dinner. I haven't had, any parties. This is... You're the first and last guest here.
Oh my gosh!
Before and after COVID. Yeah. So what we're doing is counting down the top 100 highest grossing movies of 2019, which seems like forever ago now. When I was looking at some of these movies, I was like, I barely even remember what happened in these movies. But these are not our personal preferences. We sort of went over in one of the other shows our sort of best and worst of the year outside the top 100. We both agreed Parasite was the number one of the year.
Yes.
Which we already went over. It was like in the 40s or 50s or something in the grossing. But so this is the highest grossing U.S. Or North America, I guess I should say, movies. And we're going to do now the top 25. I think we can maybe talk a little bit more about some of these than we did some of the other ones. I mean, something like Endgame probably deserves to be talked about more than Little.
Probably.
Or Stuber, but again, some of these I barely remember, so I don't know how much I'll have to say about them. I've decided to just stick with the grades that I had 6 months ago when I first did the grades. I think probably some of them I might not agree with now. Yeah. Many of them I would still.
There's definitely like 2 or 3 that I probably need to go back and rewatch.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I don't think I've rewatched any of these since we did it, except for, let me look. No, I haven't rewatched any of these movies since 6 months ago. So, all right, let's just get started here. We're over the 100 million mark. 111 million made by the movie Glass, number 25. What a disaster of a movie this was. We've been back and forth on Shyamalan over and over. Yeah, forever. Some are good, some are bad. But when you combine 2 of the better films, somehow it turns into this mess.
Yeah.
I mean, the main problem was it shouldn't have been called Glass.
No.
It should have been called Split 2 with special guests, the people from Unbreakable.
Yeah. Because
Willis and Sam Jackson are just not in this movie very much.
No.
And when they are, there's not good exposition. This movie includes, of course we don't do spoilers here, but I'll just say it's one of the worst and lamest death scenes
easily
I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Especially for a character that we have come to know and love. Or at least know.
Yes.
So this one gets a D+ from me.
Oh man. Time to talk about Glass. So
all right, keep in mind, let's not go on dissertations here.
We're not. I've spent some time trying to.
I know this movie lends itself to. Yeah. I know Joe did like a half-hour video just on this movie.
So it's funny because when I was teaching, one of my students was really hyped about this movie. Was like, Professor Miller, what do you think about it? I just said, we're not going to talk about it. We don't have the time. Fortunately, now we do. So I really liked Unbreakable. I think it's one of if not the most,
one of the top tier Shyamalan.
Yeah,
we can all agree.
One
on
of, if not the most underrated Shyamalan. But I feel like the further it went along, it just fell apart. And Split, I think it was kind of cool that like, hey, it's a spiritual Unbreakable sequel. Glass is a disaster.
It's a mess
in every sense of the word. It starts out fairly interesting, but the longer it goes on, it feels almost like a self-parody of the franchise, air quotes, as a whole. It has by far one of the most cringe-inducing lines of the entire year of 2019. And honestly, I can't tell if Shyamalan respects or wants to make fun of nerd culture. I really could not get a read on that, because it seems like in some parts he really likes the idea of how nerds like and respect superheroes, and other times it feels like he's completely bashing them for doing so. But the whole movie feels like it's going in a million different directions. There are two twists in Glass. One is really, really stupid, and the other one is telegraphed a mile away. Both of which are not worth your time. This is the capper of a franchise that probably should have never been a franchise. For me, it's a D.
Well, I don't know. It's debatable. People love Unbreakable, and people were so jacked when they saw Willis at the end of Glass. At the end of Split.
Yeah.
I think people were excited about this. It just didn't.
Oh, I
didn't
was
pan
too.
out.
But it's
there
like
was no reason for that girl
yeah.
to be in there either.
No,
Emma, whatever her name is.
Right.
Who I like her.
Yeah.
But there was no reason for her to be in that. All right. So number 24, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. This movie in the top 25. This is my least favorite. I didn't fail anything in the top 25, but this for me is a D. I think I liked the first one more than you did. I think the first one was very mixed. I think some people really liked it. Some people were, I don't think hated it, but just were sort of blah about it.
Yeah, underwhelmed.
I think you and Joe both gave it in the C range. It was just okay.
Yeah.
But then, to me, there didn't need to be a sequel to it. Honestly, I thought Joe Lee was kind of just phoning it in, which I've never seen before. It was weird. It was a weird feeling. I really like everything that I've seen her in. Mm-hmm. At least her performance in it. And here it just wasn't there.
It's like I made it for the fun of it.
Well, to me it was like, at this point in time in her life, she was going through the divorce with Brad Pitt and worrying about the kids. So it's like, in my mind, I'm like, maybe she's just not all
her heart's not
there.
Yeah,
she's just not focused on it. So to me, this was a D.
Yeah, guess Who's Coming to Dinner meets Batman does not work. This movie feels like it's being pushed and pulled in a million directions. It poses questions I don't think anyone wanted to ask
cared about
or cared about. Yeah. It is way longer than it ever needs to be.
Yeah, at times, well over 2 hours.
Yeah, at times darker than it needs to be. And it's like they try to bring it to this big epic conclusion, and by the time we get there, I just don't care.
Yeah, that was the most interesting part about the movie, was the finale. But at that point, right, I had checked out long before that.
Yeah.
So maybe it was done well. I don't know. CGI wasn't that good either.
No,
especially for a Disney movie.
Yeah, no, you had a budget, and the wings on some of the creatures just looked bad.
Yeah, it was very weird.
Yeah, this is a D for me.
Yeah, ooh, another D, 2 Ds in a row. This top 25 is not starting out very well.
No, hopefully.
All right, I think it gets better from there.
Yes.
Number 23 is Dumbo.
Okay.
And I'm curious about your reaction, I think, more than my own, because I've talked about this when Joe and I did Dumbo in the Disney animated classics. We sort of did a 10-minute riff on the new version.
Yeah.
So I've already kind of talked about this. But you love the original animated Dumbo.
Definitely.
So I would like to hear from you first and see what you think of the new Dumbo. Keaton version, I call
Keaton
it.
version. So this is one of those movies that... This is a Tim Burton, obviously, and Burton's isms are kind of there. It's not quite like some of the...
It's not like a Miss Peregrine, though.
No, definitely not on that.
Got the stamp.
Yeah. Peregrine's basically a Burton-directed X-Men.
Yeah.
But this is one of those movies that, I feel like if he had come to it 10, 15 years ago, it would have been really, really good, because there's some interesting ideas here, and I think some of the things he's trying to do remind me of old Burton. The problem is, it very much feels like a studio production where they were telling him everything to do and when to do it, and it's pretty, but a lot of the tweaks here and there just come off as really, really forced. This is another one I think it's probably 10, 15 minutes too long. Performances are okay. Keaton, I think, is all right.
Yeah, Joe and I discussed that. We're both Keaton lovers.
Yeah.
This is definitely it was almost like he was doing a stock villain character. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree. It's not one of Keaton's best at all.
No, I feel like in the 2010s you either got Birdman or you got Need for Speed.
Yeah,
there was no in between.
Over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, or The Founder.
Yes.
And Spotlight.
Exactly.
More well-grounded,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost tweak the mustache kind of villain.
Snidely Whiplash and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. What a reference.
But yeah,
DeVito's doing another circus bit with Burton, like that.
Yeah,
Big Fish, the old standby for DeVito and Burton collabing.
Yeah, and I mean it's cute. If kids have never seen Dumbo, you won't be disappointed. Personally, I'd rather just watch Dumbo, but it wasn't like the Grinch with Benedict Cumberbatch, where it's like, why does this exist?
Oh, is that cartoon Grinch? God, that was horrible.
It was really bad.
Was that 2019?
That was 2018.
2018. Okay.
Yeah. But much more watchable.
Oh, that's right, because that was like in the top 10 that year, wasn't it? God, that was horrible.
That made a ton of money.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
For me, it's a C+.
Okay, a B for me. It was okay.
Yeah.
And we'll get to more later. We've got Lion King and Aladdin still on the darn list.
Okay.
All right, so up next, one we've talked about off air, so I know that we both enjoy this. Ford v Ferrari.
Yes.
To me, this is one of the years that the Academy almost got everything right. I mean, like in terms of nominations. Most of the movies that were up for the big awards, I really think deserved it.
Yes.
We already talked about a few of them in the lower 75, Little Women, Parasite, and that kind of thing. But this just blew me away because I don't care about racing. Although there are racing movies I really enjoy, like Rush.
Yep.
I mean, you just mentioned Need for Speed. That's not among them. But Rush is great.
Yes.
Days of Thunder I've never seen, admittedly, but I kind of went into this like, all right, well, I don't really like Christian Bale that much.
Yeah.
I don't really care about racing that much. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's a long movie.
I don't know how long it is exactly, but I know it's like 2.5 or so.
Yeah.
And I ended up loving it.
Yeah.
There is hardly anything about this movie that was off.
Yeah.
Some of the accents maybe I could have done without, but that was probably the worst part for me. But like the cinematography is amazing. All the sound awards that it got nominated for, well deserved.
Absolutely.
I know you're not a huge Damon fan, probably in the same degree that I'm not a huge Bale fan. But I think we can agree that they played off each other very well.
Surprisingly so.
Surprisingly so. So for me, this was an A. This is definitely like top 10 of the year for me.
Yeah, this was one of those that I saw was coming out, didn't really grab me, and then I had a bunch of people come up to me and be like, Justin, you need to see this in theaters. Don't wait for DVD. I'm like, all right. I'll wait until it's at a discounted price, just in the off chance that I hate it.
Yeah, you can't do it at my theater.
I did. And
$3.
Gotta tell you, worth it and then some. Really, really well paced. This is by the same gentleman who made Logan in 2017, and I gotta tell you, his style is a little bit more traditional, but he knows how to spin a story when his heart's in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's speaking of traditional, it is kind of like a classic Hollywood
Very much
style
so.
movie.
Yeah.
Which I think appealed to a lot of people.
Yeah. But it doesn't ever have that sort of condescending, oh, look, these traditional values. Just more like really, really well put together.
And it doesn't feel old.
It doesn't at all.
It feels more just epic.
Yes, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. And that's sort of what I liked about it the most, was just the sound is probably some of the best I've ever seen in my years reviewing movies in theaters.
Yeah.
Like, incredible experience listening and feeling like you're in the car right next to Christian Bale as this thing goes along. I do think it's a little bit long in the tooth at times. I think this prologue probably goes on a little bit longer than it needs to.
Yeah, it could have started a little earlier.
But
the main story. But
the overall progression, the overall way things sort of throw together is really, really well done. This movie flies once it's at front and center, and I was left very, very satisfied. It's a B+ for me.
B+ is too low for this movie, Justin. This is the one I feel like a D box would have been a real good experience.
Yeah.
All right, up next is Shazam. I really like this movie. Here's another one where I just kind of went into it like it's like a DC movie.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about this character, but I do like Zachary Levi a lot.
Same.
And so I was like, all right, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I took my nephew and my brother went to see it with us, and we all just were like, man, that was really good. Like, it's really funny. Now, there's a villain problem, as a lot of superhero movies have.
Especially in the DC.
I think Marvel can give it a run for its money in the poor villain department.
That's fair.
I think they both have issues, but I guess there's probably less good ones in DC maybe than there is in Marvel, but I think they have an equally bad problem.
Yeah.
But this one really surprised me. I thought it was funny. It was certainly touching with the whole like foster kid kind of thing, like, which I did not know anything about going in. I didn't expect that. I think Zachary Levi was perfectly cast.
Yes.
For this movie, which I think. I would say DC probably has a bigger problem with than Marvel is the casting of people. Some of them they've done great. Gal Gadot is amazing, obviously. I thought Affleck was a great Batman, but some of the people, I don't know. I mean, I liked Aquaman more than most, but I don't know. But anyway, I thought this was a great surprise. It's an A- for me.
So I did like this movie, and I was thinking about halfway through, why am I so entertained with this over all these other entries? Aquaman really bored me.
What about Venom? Venom was
Venom
just crazy.
Mess.
Yeah, yes. Venom was just a nightmare all over the place.
Batman v Superman is probably one of the most excruciating cinematic experiences I've had in a long time. And after about a few minutes, it kind of hit me. Shazam is a great comedy. It's so-so superhero
Okay, I can agree with that.
Yeah, like...
But we've proven lately that DC doesn't do superhero movies anymore.
It doesn't. And I just remember, and I took it even a step further, I'm like, this movie is so much better when it's not caring about the superhero plot.
Yes.
Like, when it's just him messing around, it's great.
Yeah.
But when we have to dive back into, okay, now back to the main story, here's the villain, remember him, it's kind of stop and go.
Yeah.
There is payoff at the end, which I very much appreciated. It goes in a direction that I thought they weren't going to save until... didn't think they were going to do until the second movie.
Okay.
But it works. Yeah. And I'm really hoping they get a good opportunity to sort of expand on that in a way that actually is even better.
Yeah.
But for me, it's a fun ride. I think the two halves are kind of a little inconsistent, but I really like the first one. That would probably be an A. The other one's probably more like a C. So they kind of meet in the middle with a B.
Okay. Well, and the other thing I think is nice is that DC, for a while, was working so hard to build up to Justice League at a rapid pace to try and catch Marvel. This is the only DC movie in recent memory that has no attachment to Justice League, to Batman.
Yep.
It's its own story. And I really appreciated that.
I was going to say, save maybe like 2 Easter eggs.
There's a couple of winks and nods, but like...
That's it.
They don't hinge on it like some others we could mention in the recent...
Yeah, it's not like the MCU where like if you're starting in the middle of the series, it's like, okay, you better watch the last 10 movies.
Well, I think MCU has a couple like that in recent years with mixed results. I know you didn't really like Ant-Man, but you do have to admit Ant-Man is at least a standalone story.
For the most part,
and you could say probably Black Panther is too, for the most part.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. So up next, number 20. This made $142 million at the box office. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. If you joined us for the Film Fanatics Top 25 of the decade, this was the only movie from 2019 on my list. If I had done the list after I saw Parasite, that could be included as well. But so you may already know how I feel about this. Interestingly, it's not quite an A+.
Yeah.
There have been other movies in 2019 that I graded higher than this, but I feel like in terms of sheer artistic merit and rewatchability, I would give it to this over some of the other ones. I think, Tarantino has come a long way in just the last decade.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's got... I don't think I've ever given a Tarantino movie a negative grade. There have been some that are better than others.
Definitely.
And I still didn't see... What's the one with the machine gun leg?
Oh, Grindhouse.
Grindhouse. I still never saw that.
Yeah. Do you count 4 Rooms?
I count 4 Rooms. I didn't really care for 4 Rooms, but... I mean, the problem with 4 Rooms is he only does a fourth of it. So
that's fair.
I can't really count it in my Tarantino grades.
Yeah.
But I would count it, I guess, as a Tarantino movie. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get you.
But I mean, Hateful Eight, it was a bit long in the tooth, but I did enjoy it. And Inglourious Bastards is good. Django took me a while, but I was on board with the third viewing of that. But this one just takes you right from the start, and it throws all of the Tarantino-isms together. But he hasn't done a modern-ish film in a long time. I mean, Inglourious Bastards is the most recent. That was the 40s.
Yeah.
I mean, Hateful Eight was obviously way back when. Django was way back when.
Yeah.
So here, at least, we're in the 60s, which, to me, is like Tarantino's kind of era. I mean, it's when he grew up.
Yeah.
It's what he romanticizes the most, I think.
Oh, easily.
And that showed in spades in this movie. I think, unlike a lot of his other movies where... like Hateful Eight was mostly in a cabin.
Yeah.
There weren't such thoughtful set pieces.
No.
In Hateful Eight, you know.
Yeah.
Inglourious, yeah, but there's World War II movies everywhere, so it's pretty easy to construct a World War II set, you know. But
this one,
you know,
you got to think about.
Yeah, 60s Hollywood. I think the set design is great. The music, as always, with him is great. Mm-hmm. And the performances. I mean, I really think this is definitely one of Brad Pitt's best performances.
Oh, by far.
I think he deserved the Oscar. You know, Leo. It's great to see him again after so many years. Margot Robbie sort of sticks out a little bit, like a sore toe. Since it's Tarantino, you can't say sore thumb. But she did a good job. I mean,
she did.
But I liked the sort of alternate history thing of the Manson family. I don't know. And my favorite part really is the crazy ending because that's the most Tarantino-esque really of all of it.
Exactly.
Like. Everything about the movie tone-wise is Tarantino, but it's not till you get to that last 15 minutes that you're like,
this is
I
Tarantino.
see why this is a Tarantino movie now. But yet it all came together for me. This is an A, easily.
Yeah, this is one that I really, really liked, but I still feel like I need to rewatch to justify a higher grade. And I want to.
Yeah.
Especially since they released another alternate cut. But as far as this one goes, I was kind of thinking in regards to the very, very long and still ongoing debate with our mutual friend Joe about the Hateful Eight, where I told him, look, it's time to wrap this up. I won't say...
I never agreed with that, for the record. That was I didn't think that was right either, but...
Yeah. I won't say I walked that statement back.
I think that was like his top 5 movie of the year. That's way too high. I think I gave it like a B or a B+.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah.
But
I didn't hate it, but it's by no means his best.
Right.
And this is really a step in the right direction. I feel like for a while it was kind of like him trying to regain his footing after losing his editor, but with this, he's truly back in his element, and it feels like a fresh Tarantino idea, which was my biggest problem with Hateful Eight. It just felt like we were hitting a lot of the benchmarks. Oh, this scene... There was a lot of things that happened before this scene happened. Ha 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 ha. Yes, I saw Kill Bill Volume 2. But what I think makes this work is it feels more like early Tarantino, where it wasn't always racing off to the bloodiest scene it could possibly throw together. It was a lot more about the dialogue. It was a lot more about the interplay. Yeah, this is
a lot more Jackie Brown than it is,
yes,
you know, some of his more recent stuff.
And I feel like if it stayed with that just a hair more consistently, it probably would have been an A+, because what really makes this movie come to life is the back and forth between Leo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. Mm-hmm. I think if they just went full-on buddy comedy with this and didn't worry so much about, okay, let's talk about the Manson family. Yes, that was a big part of the 60s, but I don't feel like that's what this movie is.
Yeah, you really could have lifted that whole part out. I enjoyed it, for sure. But I don't know that the movie needed it, but it was certainly enjoyable to have.
Yeah. Like, I had a good time with it. I think there's good humor and interplay throughout this, but I feel like the real crux of the movie, when it's at its best, is kind of being a love letter to that time, and also being sort of being a commentary of that time, which I think is really unique and really brings out what this movie is and who Tarantino is. The ending, I really, really liked when I saw it. Upon reflection, I go back and forth. Yes, it's very Tarantino, but at the same time, it kind of is anti-Inglourious Bastards, where the alternate history stuff feels kind of rock and roll in a very Tarantino way. This time, it kind of leaves a weird taste in your mouth once you're done watching it. For me, it's an A. I, again, need to rewatch, but really, really glad to see that he's coming back into his own.
Yeah, one of the best. Yeah. All right. Now, we've done like 6 movies in about 20 minutes, so let's...
pick it up.
I think this will be an easy one. Pokemon Detective Pikachu. I don't think this will be too much of a talker. I really didn't care for this movie. I don't know much about Pikachu anyway, but I did play the Pokemon Go for a while, so I know some of the characters at least.
Okay.
But this to me is just, PG Deadpool. They just told Ryan Reynolds to just riff, I guess, and do Deadpool. And,
sounds about right.
But make it kind of clean, but like throw in some, potty humor that kids will enjoy, whatever. I liked Justice Smith. He did a good character, I guess. But like this story just didn't hold much interest for me. Yeah. Way too inside. If you don't really, really know Pokemon, I don't think you'll really enjoy it. Like, unlike Sonic, which, we can get into in the best of 2020, I guess. But,
Yeah.
I felt like even if I didn't know much about Sonic, you can really invest yourself in that character and the story. This, to me, was just a mishmash of let's just let Ryan Reynolds do what he does without much care for anything else. So it's a C+ for me.
This is definitely one that I'm going to call the biggest guilty pleasure of 2019 for me.
Well, you loved it, huh?
I wouldn't say loved, but I will say I liked it a lot more than I was expecting.
Okay.
A friend of mine talked me into watching it, so I headed out and went to go see it, and I probably laughed more than the kids in the theater that I was watching it with. I think it's largely because the movie embraces the crazy. It completely immerses you in this world, and it doesn't try to make everything the punchline. It really does try to play up, this is what it would be like if there's a Snorlax in the middle of the road, and I found that amusing. I like the world. I think Rhyme City is really, really cool, and I hope we get to see a lot more of that in the sequel that I'm sure is inevitably coming because it's made a ton.
Yeah.
I did think PG Deadpool, but I didn't mind it. I think a lot of the jokes work. I think it's just a matter of trying to figure out where to put things. It's kind of anti-Genie, where like, okay, obviously there's too many PG-13/R-rated things that Williams says, but there's enough.
Genie like Aladdin?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's enough be real that it doesn't really matter. This time, some stuff really works well. Other stuff feels a little out of place. I do admit at times there's a little too much body humor, but I still like the world building. I still like the fact that it has that sort of element of everybody's committed to this, even if it does seem quirky and a little inside, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. But I had fun with it. Doesn't always work, but I could see it building upon that in a sequel. Gets B-.
Okay, wow. Just a slightly higher grade than me, but so much love for Detective Pikachu. All right, well, up next, The Secret Life of the Pets. That's easy. I didn't like the first one. I don't like the second one. It just all seems like vignettes to me that none of them are funny. At least the first one, I don't know. You had some cute characters. Yeah. Here they're just more annoying. I give it a D+.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to add. It's
stupid.
It's really dumb. It gets. There's parts I like about the first one. Mm-hmm. They all get unanimously worse in the second one. There's at least 3 storylines you do not need. The message is kind of disturbing the more you think about it, and very, very counterproductive for where we're trying to go in the world. And honestly, it's time to stop.
What's the message of the movie? I don't even remember.
Basically, be a man, tough it out, like kids get hurt.
Huh. I mean, you could look at kids get hurt. I don't care about that. What's your grade?
D.
Okay. Ooh, wow, another D. Justin's third D of the list. My only D is Maleficent. I will say that right now. All right, 1917 is next. This is another one the Academy got right. I really thought this was going to win Best Picture.
Same.
It's got talk about an old school traditional type of movie.
Definitely.
I think this fills the bill there. It's very classic.
Yeah.
War effort, but obviously the hook of this is the seemingly one shot
long
take, which it works. It comes off as such.
Yeah.
One of the only real issue I had with it was, other than the story's a little thin, but was that it was a little distracting to me just to try and see like, okay, he had to cut here.
Yeah.
There's a cut. He's got to cut there. Anytime like he goes around a building or there's a pillar, So that to me distracted me a little bit from the movie itself.
Yeah.
But it's still great. I mean, it's a masterpiece in the war game. I think.
Yeah.
It's an A.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those that I don't think there's anything else like it, and we don't get nearly enough World War I movies. So yeah, there's a lot to like about this movie. The main cast is great. The setup's really good. I don't want to talk too much about this because we covered it in Oscars. I do agree the story's a little thin at times, but it's very much an action-based movie. It's not about trying to come up with all these big beats. It's more or less a matter of trying to keep everything believable, which for the most part it does. There's a couple scenes in the middle where it stretches disbelief a little bit, but these things happen.
Yeah.
For me, it's an A. It's solid.
Definitely one of the best of the year. All right, now this one I don't really remember too much. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. At this point, I saw it probably 16 months ago.
Yep.
I gave it a B, so it was good, I guess.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember much about it. I like this whole series.
Yeah.
I think I probably gave the second one around the same grade, a B, maybe a B plus. The first one's like an A. The first one is,
first one's outstanding.
I think an animation achievement.
Yeah.
That we had not quite seen before. Certainly when I saw it in 3D as well, with all the flying scenes.
Right.
And here you have Hiccup is a great character.
Yeah.
And I think in this one we have the what's toothless.
Yep.
Finds more toothlesses. Right? Isn't that
yeah? Sunlight Fury. Yeah.
So then we go from there. But I guess I liked it. It was a B. I don't have much to say about it. I barely remember this movie.
That's okay.
Which isn't a great sign, but I've seen probably 200 movies since I saw this. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same level with you. I liked the first one. I thought the second one
you loved the first one
wasn't as good, but it's a worthy sequel. This one is a very nice cap to the series as a whole, but it's not as good as the first two. And I think part of that is because they do what I feel like the franchise never needed to do, which was try and give time to the sidekicks.
Yeah, there's a lot of sidekicks in this.
Yeah, it's like they're intentionally one note. We don't need more from them.
Well, the problem is in episode 2, you kill the dad.
Yep.
So
spoilers.
He's out. Well, spoilers for the second one 5 years ago.
Yes.
He's dead.
Yeah.
So you don't have the
the
Hiccup and dad sort of
back and forth interplay
kind of thing. Yeah. That was crucial to the first one, certainly.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I think the animation is by far the best it's been for the entire franchise. I think the conclusion is really, really emotional, like Pixar level emotional. And hopefully
I wouldn't go that far. I would have remembered it. Well, I would have remembered it more if it was like a Pixar to me, but
yeah. But for me, it's a nice ending. It doesn't quite stick the landing as well as the first two, but I leave it with a B.
Okay. Next is one of my few A pluses of each year. This was right up there with some of the ones we talked about before the farewell, Parasite, and my third and final A plus of the year was Knives Out.
Okay.
This movie is one of those. It's a popcorn movie.
It is.
And yet, there's just not a wasted second on screen. The interplay is outstanding. Look, I'm a Rian Johnson fan. Is it Johnson? What's his name? Yeah. I love Looper. We all know that. Some of his other stuff, was very good. The Star Wars was like whatever, but I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I didn't really care that he messed it up or whatever.
Yeah.
But here he's back on track writing and directing, and he has created this entire world of interesting characters.
Yeah.
A great crackshot detective that God, I hope the sequel rumors are true. If I really want to see Daniel Craig come back, as what do they call him, Kentucky Fried Detective or whatever?
Pretty much.
I forget what Chris Evans calls him, but yeah, this is a great mystery movie.
Yeah.
Another one like we've been talking about that sort of harkens back to some classics. Like this is a classic '60s whodunit style movie, and to me, it's done perfectly. So it's an A plus.
All right. Well, my grade is not that high, but
it's hard to be. I mean, there's no grades higher. So
true enough. But yeah, I think this is a return to form for Rian Johnson, who I think is really in his element when he's trying to introduce like quirky characters, quirky setup.
Yeah. Doesn't he do that Brick that you liked?
He did Brick, and he did Brothers Bloom. But
I never saw that one. But
I didn't either.
I saw Brick because of you. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think this is very much Rian Johnson returning back to classic Rian Johnson, and I would argue probably the best he's been. I think it really comes together because of the cast. I think Ana de Armas is absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, she's great.
Daniel Craig I kind of go back and forth on. I like the way they play off his character. I found the accent kind of really annoying.
I thought for all the accents this year, his was one of the better ones.
It's like, we get it. You're trying to be Kentucky Fried
Hick,
yeah.
We got it.
Yeah. But the problem for me is this starts out as a whodunit. It was marketed as a whodunit. And about halfway through, they kind of abandon the whodunit, and it's more of a get away with it kind of thing. It becomes a different movie. And it's not a bad movie. It just doesn't feel like the movie I was promised.
When did you know who did it? Halfway?
more or less. Yeah.
I'm not very clever, so mysteries really get me. I didn't know for a while.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's not super apparent, but if you're paying attention, it's there.
Yeah, I want to rewatch it and pick up all the clues.
But it's a fun ride. I love the characters. I think there's some great cinematography in this movie, and I would like to see where they go next. Obviously, the main cast is done,
right?
But I would be curious to see.
You'll have him and Laketh.
Yeah, if we can bring into that same energy into a different kind of story, right. I think it's more or less a matter of just taking time on the sequel. If you can capture the same energy twice, rock on.
Yeah,
it's a B+ for me.
Okay, KFC CSI I think was the line. All right, so next is number 14. This is we're getting high. 171 million. This made. Okay. John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. Okay. This was good. I mean, what
you don't remember this one too well, do you?
Well, I don't, but it's also the same movie. Like, I don't know. Here's what I like about the John Wick franchise as a whole. And I know you were on board from the start. We talked a lot about that in our Equalizer review.
Yes.
I think they've created this really interesting and cool world with the Wick character,
yes,
and the hotel,
right,
and everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
And I really like that they are continuing to explore the character, to explore the themes, but it's all pretty standard. I mean, it's not that different from the second one, which is my biggest problem with it, which is why it's not that memorable.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember watching it, and I remember enjoying it, but could I tell you, other than the bathtub scene in 2, which is, very standout.
Yeah.
I like, if you gave me a scene, I'm not sure if I could tell you whether it was in 2 or 3. You know what I mean?
No, that's true. That's really true.
So I leave it with a B. It's fine, but it's very rote.
Yeah, like the first one worked because it was so simple, but it worked because of that. The second one found a way to sort of tell a new story, but make sure that you could see how everything in the first one was necessary for the consequences that took place in 2.
I actually think the second one is the best of the 3.
Oh, really?
To be honest.
Okay.
Only slightly, but yes.
Yeah. I mean, 1 and 2 are dangerously close to each other. 3, Joe pitched to me as John Wick Chapter 2.5 would be a much more appropriate title, and I really, really, really wanted to disagree with him, but about a third of the way in, I'm like, no, this is pretty much John Wick Chapter 2.5.
Right.
Partially because there's not a whole lot of difference. There's a few new characters. Halle Berry's really cool. There's a few new elements that are thrown in. But I feel like the big problem is this should have been the conclusion, and then the movie kind of gets cold feet and decides, well, what if we want to do more?
It's way too popular. They've already announced the 4th.
They have.
It's like...
And it's probably only a matter of time before we hear, it started filming.
You knew it was coming.
Yeah. But a friend of mine made a really good point, which was, why didn't they just more or less wrap up this arc? You can still do more Wick stuff, but wrap up this entire storyline and get on to something new.
It's a fair point.
Yeah. So I didn't hate it. The action sequences are still great. Keanu Reeves is still rocking it. I still want to see more of this world. I just want a complete story.
Yeah, new story.
So for me, it's a B-.
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely. I mean, it's a fine movie. Everything about the franchise that already worked is still working.
Yes,
but yeah, it's interesting though that it did completely resurrect his career.
Pretty much
like Taken did with Liam Neeson. I mean, this gave him an entirely new fan base, an entirely new, career choice. All right, up next, the worst. Well, it's not worse than Maleficent. But Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Ooh.
Here's okay, so Detective Pikachu, right?
Yes.
Here's one where Ryan Reynolds, for me, actually saved this movie from being a D. It's a D+ because of Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
And listen, so I do like Ryan Reynolds, but this whole franchise, talk about a dead franchise that needs to go
It's
away.
Time to stop.
It ain't Wick, it's the damn Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
I actually am glad that the stupid new one got pushed back a year, so we finally get 1 year in my lifetime where there's not a new Fast and Furious movie.
Seriously.
I'm sick of them.
Yes. It's time for a break.
I like The Rock a lot.
Yeah.
Although he is dwindling on me. Remember I gave Rampage an F.
He's definitely getting oversaturated.
I'm done with the shtick. I get it. He's, action guy. Yeah. Every time he said "some bitch" in this movie, it made me want to murder myself.
No, it's true.
So this for me was saved by the Ryan Reynolds cameos. Funniest part of the movie. When he did the especially the bits at the end. Did you watch past the credits? Okay. Yeah. So which I got to see a lot from cleaning it in the theater, but that to me was the only really remotely engaging thing about this movie. Yeah. Elba was in this, right? As the is he a villain?
Yeah, he's a big bad.
The whole stupid plot was horrible.
Yeah.
I'm so done with it. D+. I'm done with the franchise.
Yeah, it's definitely overkill. I'm hoping the rumors are true that they're only going to go up to 10, and that's going to be check, please. Somehow, I don't think that's going to happen because Fast and the Furious fans will show up to anything.
Right. But that's the problem. They've proven that fans will just gobble up garbage, so they don't try.
They don't.
Unlike Marvel.
Yeah.
Like Endgame could have been horrible, and people were still. It was still going to print money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they've been pitching a Hobbs movie forever. And honestly, I feel like if it was just Hobbs by himself, this movie would have been an uncontrollable nightmare. Shaw doesn't exactly balance things out.
Which one is which now? Is the
Hobbs
Rock?
is The Rock. Okay. Jason Statham is Shaw.
Shaw. Okay.
For those not in the know, but yeah. That being said, they were the best characters in Fate of the Furious.
Yeah, they really were. If you're going to spin off somebody, thank God it wasn't called Dom the movie. Like that, I would have just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And not the weird
or
Netflix.
Han.
Yeah. Oh,
he's back, isn't he? In the trailer,
he is back. Or something? No one's explained why, but he is back.
They'll explain it, I'm sure.
It'll be somehow even dumber.
The
than
one
the
pockmark on Charlize Theron's last 20 years was that one stupid Fast and Furious movie.
But
all right, well,
I'm sorry.
now I'm on track. On a tangent. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. Rant about the franchise.
I could rail on this dumb franchise for 20 more minutes, but I won't.
But this is just way too long, way too forced. I like the fact that they're trying to take the franchise in a different direction, but it doesn't take into consideration that the first two entries of when it became what it was, which I would argue was 5 and 6.
Yeah, I would say the same, yeah.
They were dumb, but they were kind of like brilliantly dumb, where like you had...
5 is my favorite one, I think.
I thought you said 6, but
maybe it was 6. It's one of the ones with The Rock.
Yes. 5 was his first appearance. But,
yeah, 5 and 6 were good.
Yeah, but I think it was because they embraced the crazy. They let the craziness fly. This one, it's just new set piece, forced joke that doesn't really hit, but we have to beat into the ground because it's these two. Celebrity cameo number 4.
But that's how the franchise has become, though.
Yeah.
But
as a result...
Isn't Kevin Hart in this movie?
Kevin Hart is in this movie for quite a bit, too.
Yeah, okay.
But I'll be honest, I started losing interest probably about less than 15 minutes in, and I more or less started checking out around the halfway point.
Yeah.
I don't want to say stop the spin-offs, but this is definitely not the best start. It's a D+.
I'd say stop the franchise. But like you said, it's not going to happen. No. All right, number 12 is Us. I gave this an A-, which might seem a little high.
Okay.
Upon reflection, I might want to watch it again. But again, this is one I saw in theater, so I saw it in February of 2019. So it's been a while. But I really like it. It's not quite as good as Get Out.
Okay.
But this is another one where I actually went online afterwards and looked up a couple of like YouTube videos of like, here's the meaning behind certain things, or here's what you might have missed in Us. And it did paint a more full picture. Because especially on a first viewing,
there's a lot.
You know me, I try to just go in and watch the movie for what it is. I try not to really delve like into the psyche of what the filmmaker was thinking. I like to just sit back, enjoy, and then kind of do it from that perspective. But this is a layered movie.
Very, very.
And you can't do that.
So, yeah.
It's impossible to do that.
Yeah, definitely requires multiple viewings.
So maybe A+ is right. Maybe it's too high. I don't know. I do want to watch it again. But I really enjoyed this movie. And my God, Lupita Nyong'o
still rocking it.
Well, she's just, yes. And she is really picking projects that I think are of some importance to her as a person.
Yes.
Which a lot of people, especially up and coming, can't do. We just watched Swordfish last night, and we were talking about how Halle Berry won the Oscar for Monsters Ball and then went on to do Catwoman.
Yup.
You know, and Cuba Gooding, same thing with Boat Trip.
Yep.
And, you know, a lot of these people, when they're on the rise, they win an Oscar.
Yeah.
And then they take whatever the big budget movie is. And look, she was in Black Panther, so
yeah.
that's, I guess, the big budget movie. But that's also, you can't miss.
No, it's true. It really is.
So it's also a very safe choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think this was a great project for her. And everybody's good in it.
Yeah,
not
definitely.
just her. But very layered. I am always anticipating what Jordan Peele's going to do next.
Yeah.
Which I guess will be Antebellum whenever that gets released. So I guess I stick with the A- for now.
Yeah, this is definitely one that I left the theater thinking, I need to rewatch this. Didn't get to it as fast as everyone else. Not so much that it was avoidance so much as just
there's a lot
time.
of things, yeah.
Yeah, life gets in the way.
A lot of things to watch.
But honestly, I don't think Jordan Peele is at the level that everyone likes to believe he is, but I think in a couple of years he's going to be fantastic. I think it's just a matter of him trying to figure out how to sort of hone into what he was doing. Get Out, I think, was good. The problem was the satire was fantastic. The horror was not.
I see, and I don't agree with that, but that's a topic for a different show. That was, I think, in my top 25 of the decade, wasn't it? Get Out?
Probably,
it was, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's a good movie, but I hesitate to say like it's as mind blowing as everyone assumes it to be. Us, I think, is even more so because it does so many complex things, which I feel like has made it a little bit love it or hate it in some circles. For me, I think it's the better of the two.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. For me, I think the way it finds a way to both look at race and classism is fascinating. My biggest gripe with this movie...
I think you said the same about Get Out, too.
In spurts. But I think what really sells... The big problem with this movie is it kind of is two movies in one. Like, it's both the first movie and the sequel in one movie. And I really, really like the first movie because that is horror, and I think the horror really works. The second does
more surreal stuff.
Yeah, it gets into more surreal. The horror's still there, but it has a little bit more of a sci-fi element, and there's a lot of questions about that.
Right.
And it's not so much that it's bad; it's just strange, and that's sort of why I feel like a second or third viewing is warranted. Lupita Nyong'o doing two very, very different roles is absolutely outstanding. The score is arguably one of the best parts of the movie, and the cinematography is a character in and of itself, especially when we get to the finale. But for me, it's an A-. Super original, really, really interesting things done. I'm very, very curious to see what comes next from Peele, but just keeps rocking.
Antebellum.
Yeah. Producing, but I mean...
Oh, he didn't direct it?
No, he did not direct it.
Oh, is that right?
No.
Oh, I thought he did. He's too busy doing Twilight Zone, I guess. All right, number 11, It Chapter 2. Now we're up in the 200s. This is, by the way, the only 200 millionaire.
Oh, really?
Us was 175.
Okay.
It Chapter 2 made 211, and then number 10 made 316. Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'll say.
All right, well, so anyway, this is a big hit, though. God, is this movie too long? This one is for sure 240. I remember that because we ran it at the theater. Maybe Ford v Ferrari wasn't, but this definitely was.
Yeah.
Too long. Not as good as the first one by any stretch. Now I didn't read the books. I never saw the Tim Curry original, so I don't have much to go off of except for this film. And look, they picked a lot of good adult actors.
Oh yeah.
Some of my favorites, really, Chastain among them. Bill Hader seemed very out of place in this movie, and the guy could do drama. We see that every week with Barry.
Yeah.
But he, to me, really was missing the mark in this movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it was less him and more direction of like, hey, do some quips.
Yeah.
And they just didn't land for me. The whole Pennywise thing again was good. Is it Skarsgård, whatever?
Yeah,
he's good. Again, but I don't know. It's too long to care about.
Yeah.
And I stand by my statement that no horror movie should be longer than 2 hours. I really it just doesn't unless you have way more going on than just horror.
Yeah.
What's the we did it from 2019 with the Shining sequel, Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep, yeah.
And that was also about this long.
Yeah.
But that was to me a much better movie because there was a lot more going on.
Yeah.
Than this. All right, so that's it. B-.
Okay, so I'm a Stephen King fan.
Yeah, you are.
It I know it by reputation. I have read it a long time ago, unfortunately. Never really blew me away, but the cult following has always been alive and well. So I like the first part.
Yeah.
2, I won't say the length bothered me as much as everyone else did. I think mostly because everyone up to that point was, this movie's way too long.
So you were prepared.
Yeah, so I feel like if I hadn't gotten that little tip off, it probably would have been...
Did you watch it in one sitting?
Yeah, because I saw it in theaters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did not. I actually watched it at home. I think I saw it the same day, but I took like a 6-hour break between parts.
I don't blame you in the slightest.
Yeah.
But the adult actors, I thought were okay. I don't blame them so much as I blame the director.
Yeah.
I think this is just way too much crammed into one movie. And the thing that bothers me the most about it is there's at least half an hour you can trim off this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. If not even 45 minutes in and of itself. I like the visual effects. I like a lot of things that they're trying to do, but some of the things really frustrated me. Like, they more or less do one character's entire arc from the first movie over again just to extend the plot, and it really left a bad taste in my mouth. I think I'll be curious to see how the supercut looks, but there's
a longer version of this movie?
They smushed 1 and 2 together with the extra footage that they shot, and apparently there's going to be like an 8-hour miniseries cut. So, yeah, I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying
viewers of my weekly TV review show know how I feel about 8 to 10 hour miniseries that don't need to be 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah, but hopefully that you could maybe break into like hour chunks. Mm-hmm. Who knows? But for me, it's a C+. It's not a mess, but it's not great either. Yeah.
All right, so now we get to the top 10.
Yes.
We're about 50 minutes into the show.
Oh my gosh.
About as long as our other ones.
Yeah.
Where we did 25. So let's... some of these we've talked about before in various iterations. So
yeah.
All right, so number 10 is Jumanji: The Next Level. And like I said, this jumps up by over $100 million. This made $360 million by the end of it.
Okay.
Jumanji: The Next Level. Here's another one with The Rock.
Yep.
This was okay for me. Yeah. The first one I thought, and by first one I mean the first one with this cast, I think was a lot better.
Yeah.
This was basically more of the same. To me it had sequel syndrome.
Yes.
Which I feel like we don't get as much as we used to. I feel like Hangover 2 got rejected so much that everybody was like, well, let's not just do the same movie over. Let's do something different.
Yeah.
And then you get 22 Jump Street, or you get, some of these other things.
Yeah.
This, to me, just felt like a lot of the same.
Yeah.
They thought that by making Danny DeVito and Danny Glover a part of it would differentiate it enough, and it certainly added to the humor of it.
Yeah.
But it just was not different enough for me. I still enjoyed watching it, and I took my nephews, which they loved it, so that's always a plus when you can sit in a movie with them that they like. But to me, this was a B-, definitely a step down from the last one.
Yeah, I avoided the first one when it was in its original theatrical run. Then a bunch of people were telling me like, Justin, you gotta watch it. It's
pretty
really
good.
good.
Well, you don't love Kevin Hart though either, so I could see you really not liking it.
I don't, but what I find fascinating about this is they hype up, Kevin Hart, Dwayne Johnson, but it's Jack Black and Karen Gillan that sell the crap out of this movie.
Well, but they don't sell movie tickets.
They don't.
I mean, Jack Black's last hit was what, Tropic Thunder? Like, I mean, it's been a while.
It might be. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it might be.
And she's not a household name.
She's not.
And they were so successful with Central Intelligence.
Yep.
I mean, it makes sense to promote it that way, but I agree. Jack Black steals the show in both of these movies.
I was going to say.
I agree.
Two is very much same story, new set of paint. I feel like they play way too hard in the now there's old people.
Right, yes, absolutely.
And it's really, really grating. They also add new characters into the video game, which Awkwafina, I feel like when she's actually when you actually give her a character, she can be good.
I know. This is my least favorite Awkwafina.
When it's just let's shove Awkwafina into something because we can.
Yeah.
Crazy Rich Asians comes to mind.
She was funnier in that though than she was here.
Oh yeah, this is hey, it's me.
Yeah.
I will say, with that being said, when things start coming together, I really like the perspective. I think the kids get much more interesting in this one than they did in the second one, and there's a couple really good emotional moments.
I don't remember crying in the first one. I cried in the second one.
Yeah, there's definitely a few tearjerker moments.
I always grade something a little bit on that.
And actually a pretty nice message. But honestly, I hope if they do a third one, which I'm sure is inevitable, they use this as kind of like a stepping stone of, okay, we can't keep doing the same thing over again. Bit. Let's try and find a new way to bring this around and fresh. It's C+ for me.
C+. Yeah. I can't deny it. What'd you give the first one?
Probably B-, B.
Okay, yeah, I think I gave the first one a B+, so we're on the same page. About two grades lower for the second one.
Yeah.
All right, number 9 is Joker. I'm not going to rant too long about this because Joe and I did like a 20-minute bit on his channel recently about it. But, gosh. To me, it's a great performance in a very questionable and subpar movie. Yeah. Did he deserve the Best Actor Oscar? Probably. Although, I don't know. There were some good ones, I feel like, this year. I mean, the best ones weren't nominated, as we've talked about. Eddie Murphy, Adam Sandler. But I think he gives a great performance. But it's Taxi Driver Part 2. There's no reason to call this movie Joker. Yeah. It's not a Joker movie. It's really not. And that pisses me off. Yeah. Because you're marketing it like it is. Yeah. And other than a couple of nods about the Wayne family, they're just, this isn't even the right Joker that we know and love. It's the Arthur Fleck Joker, which, whatever. So I give it a B. It does some things right, but my God, it's so overhyped. This is, to me, by far the most overrated movie of the year.
It's up there for me. I got done with this, and I pretty much texted a couple of my friends saying, I'm pretty confident I just watched Schrodinger's movie. In one side of things, it doesn't matter at all. And in others, what does matter is very, very, very disturbing on a lot of different levels.
What doesn't matter at all? The movie?
The entire story.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to deny that.
I think Joaquin Phoenix does a good job with what he has. I want to make a large emphasis on what he has, because I feel like the way this depicts mental illness is
questionable at best.
Questionable at best. Really, really, really...
really dangerous at worst.
Yes, to put it bluntly.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, and I don't think it's his fault. I think it's the writing, and I would argue even more so the director. This was done by Todd Phillips, director of The Hangover.
Yeah,
and he was not the right guy for the job.
No, he wasn't.
I think with the right person, this could have been a very, very ambitious and effective movie. But I think under his direction, it's just not.
Yeah.
I think alongside that, they try to play up the I'm an unreliable narrator, and it's just nowhere near as shocking as they want it to be. And as a result, instead of becoming more enticed and asking more questions, you just end up really, really frustrated. Mm-hmm. There's some things about this that I like. I think the De Niro stuff is interesting. I think the social commentary at times is interesting.
Why even have De Niro in it unless you want even more comparisons to The King of Comedy and Taxi Driver?
Yeah.
Why?
Got me, man.
It's a jackass casting.
He's good. Mistakes were made.
He's good in it. Did you say mistakes were made? TV failure.
2020, everybody.
He's good in it, but I just why invite even more comparisons?
Yeah, why would you open up that can of worms?
Yes.
But I think the biggest problem for me is, I'm okay with them calling it Joker. The problem is, if you're going to call it Joker, you need to get to the Joker sooner than the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Right.
Not a spoiler. But it's just really frustrating when you're trying to do all this and none of it really matters. And like I said before, what does matter is really, really disturbing, dangerous, and sends the wrong message that you're trying to send. For me, it's a C.
Well, here's the thing. I've already ranted so long on this. Never mind. All right.
You sure?
Yes, I'm fine. I can rail about other things, I guess. Although there's only a couple left that I don't like. All right, number 8 is Aladdin.
Okay.
This one was a little middling for me. I didn't hate it like some people did. The one Jasmine song is just a snooze. I think I've said to you this before, but we've never at the theater in the 3 years I've been there seen more people take a bathroom break. Like, anytime somebody came out loud during the bathroom break, I always knew. I was like, oh, Jasmine's singing, huh?
Yeah.
And it always was, every time. Look, this is Will Smith's movie.
It is.
It was Robin Williams' movie the first time around.
Yeah.
It's Will Smith's movie now. I always said that, him or Jim Carrey are the only people I ever could have seen taking over the Joker role. God.
No!
Where am I? See, I'm still back on it.
Yes.
The genie role.
Yes.
And I think Will Smith nailed it. I think he did a great job. I like the song. Now, that being said, I saw this. I took my sister to see this 2 hours away after a long day of work. So I did fall asleep for about 8 minutes of this movie. And usually I try to, watch what I missed, but I've already seen the animated, so it's like I don't think I really missed anything.
No.
But I didn't let that affect my grade just because I was tired and whatever. But I think it might speak a little bit to the movie, so I gave it a B-. I think it's definitely sort of on the lower of the middle tier of Disney live action movies.
Yeah, this is definitely of that, like
it's not Maleficent level.
Yeah,
but it's definitely on the lower end of the remake.
Yeah, it's higher than I was expecting it to be.
Me too, actually.
I was also at the same time, like, after running through like a whole mess of mediocre live actions, maybe that was just sort of like fatigue. So when you got something that's better than obviously Beauty and the Beast, you got to give a little credit where credit's due.
All right, now that is a goddamn lie. Beauty and the Beast is an A, and I will defend that movie till I die. Oh, that is the best to me of the. I didn't know you didn't like the live action Beauty and the Beast. Justin.
Oh, that's a whole nother episode, my friend.
Wow.
But
wow.
Yeah, after so
a
much,
lot of things now.
After so much fatigue, I sat down and watched this at long last, and I can't call it good, but I can call it better than I thought it was going to be. I think
in the live action, the Aladdin and Jasmine are fine. Her singing stinks.
Jasmine is
she's a little one note, but she was in the original. I felt so.
Jasmine's good. The song number isn't bad. It's just very out of place and doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Aladdin is underwhelming.
We might find out something similar about The Lion King and the Beyonce song in it.
Yeah.
Later on.
Trust me, we're going to have a lot more to talk about with The Lion King.
All right, well then, hurry up.
I know. What really saves this movie is Will Smith.
Will Smith, yeah.
He found a way to still do the genie, but make it his own, which was what everyone was really worried about.
Everyone was so mad about it, and I was like, dude, he'll be fine. It's Will Smith, for God's sake.
If there's anyone that I would have 100% confidence will not just do a Robin Williams impression, it was 100% Will Smith. The songs are different with him, but they, for the most part, they work. Yeah. Prince Ali is a little weird because they try and give it like a Bollywood spin, but Never Had a Friend Like Me is actually surprisingly good.
Yeah, really good.
That might be the best song in the whole movie.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Jafar is really bad. If anyone's like, what the heck are you doing here? It's that actor. And the third act is kind of a mess.
I think that's where I fell asleep, like towards the beginning of that.
Yeah, but overall, I think it's decent. It's an okay movie. I think if you took kids who never saw Aladdin, they'd be fine. It's just not as mind-blowing as they like to think it is. It's a C+ for me.
All right. So number 7, $390 million this movie made. Spider-Man Far From Home.
Oh, boy.
Listen, of this top 7, 3 of them are Avengers movies.
Okay.
Or actually, all but...
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say all but 1 are Disney. They're all Disney. All 7 of these are Disney. There's Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, and Marvel. Wow. So the top 8 then, because Aladdin too, obviously.
Yep.
Wow, so the top 8 movies of last year were all Disney. God almighty. We get it. All right. Yeah. This was great. Not as good as the last Spider-Man, but Tom Holland is the number 1 Spider-Man out there. He's and we all know Stan Lee said it before he died. This is what I envisioned Spider-Man to be.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt it. I mean, first of all, he's the youngest.
Yeah.
He's not, trying to be 15 and be 25. He's actually, 18 trying to be 15.
Yeah.
Looks the part, great stuff. Mm-hmm. Definitely not nearly as memorable as the last one. Because here again, great Keaton performance there as the villain. But then you've also got all of the other moving parts. My favorite part about the last Spider-Man is that it's not only a great superhero movie, but it was a great high school movie, which we don't get a lot of. This focused a bit less on that sort of thing and more on the aftermath of Endgame. But I don't think you necessarily need to see Endgame to see it. If you only go through the Spider-Man movies, I don't think you'll be super confused.
You might miss a callback here and there, but
here and there,
for the most part, you can
pretty minimal, I think.
Yeah.
As long as you sort of know the bare minimum of Endgame, like why is Robert Downey Jr. not in this movie and he was in the last one, for example.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was very good. B+.
Okay, so as far as this one goes, this closes out Phase 3 of the MCU, which I was wondering, how are you going to do that? And I had a lot of feelings about Far From Home. I think Holland is going to be the best Spider-Man.
You don't think he's there yet?
It's not so much that he's there yet,
Toby?
so much as he needs to grow up. And I think what the MCU is really failing at right now is you need to let the kid earn his movies. You need to let him be a side character, learn from the other characters, and then get payoff when he's like 25 and can really do cool stuff.
Yeah, but Spider-Man's a kid.
Sometimes.
Well, in this version, though, he's a kid.
Yeah, but the whole thing that they were establishing from Civil War is like, oh, you're still very new at this. Let's try and get you up to speed. And they try to do this, but it's like you're asking him to carry this entire franchise on his shoulders, and it's not that he's doing a bad job so much as you're getting an okay performance when you could get a really great performance. I'd liken it to ScarJo in Captain America the Winter Soldier. Up to that point, fairly one-note character. Winter Soldier comes out, she actually gets an opportunity to shine, and we're actually a lot more interested in her. Because they choose
well,
to...
she's a woman. They don't write women very well.
I won't deny that.
As we might learn about at number 6.
I don't know what you mean, Dan. But my problem with this movie is it's just complete chaos. There were plot holes in the first Spider-Man standalone movie. There are giant plot holes in the second Spider-Man movie. Like, implodes the MCU caliber.
I don't remember any big plot holes in the first one.
The timeline is completely botched.
Is that right?
Yep. And it's even worse in this one because...
I'm not a fanboy, so I watch movies as they are. I don't look into the minutia of the timeline. Yeah. I mean, the Marvel Universe is like... I mean, you need one of those, those thread boards with, it's like...
It's getting to that, and that'll tie a little bit into Endgame, so I won't go full into this.
Fair enough.
But... it tries to focus on the Endgame stuff, and I was really, really interested in that, except it doesn't really commit to it, and it turns most of them into jokes. It tries to be a road trip movie, which I think is the worst part of the movie that it is. Like, we're in a new location, ha ha, high school. Also, Peter Parker might be the dumbest Spider-Man of the entire Hollywood career. Makes really, really stupid, borderline life-threatening decisions, and everyone's okay with it.
But again, wait, I want to remind you, he is a kid. Andrew Garfield was like 30. And I know you didn't like him either, so...
But he was still playing high schooler.
Yes, I know, and that was a big issue.
Yeah,
I think we can all agree with that.
Toby looked the worst, I will give you that.
Yeah, well, God bless him. I still think Spider-Man 2 is a fantastic movie, but Toby, I don't know. But
yeah.
All right.
But and then we get this whole like, okay, where could the series be going next? And that doesn't really come to life until about the halfway point. But I liked it. I think that's what saved it from a much, much lower grade. But I think that's largely thanks to Gyllenhaal. I think that's due to a lot of really cool set pieces, and it actually adds a lot to the character that we've been seeing up to this point, and what could be on the horizon, leading to a cliffhanger that we're not going to see resolved for another 6 years. But we won't go there. As a result, I won't say I'm sick of seeing more of these movies. It's more I want a better director. I want Holland to grow up a little bit, and I really want some consistency.
All right, what's your grade?
It's C- for me. It's by far the worst of the entire franchise.
Worse than the stupid ass Iron Man 3?
Yes.
You're wrong. This is an opinion, but you're wrong. There's no way this is worse than Iron Man 3 or Thor 2. All right, number 6 is another Marvel, Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Look, we can't spend 25 minutes on each
No.
Marvel movie.
That was, yeah.
Captain Marvel is okay. It's, for me, middle of the pack for the MCU. For Origins, it's all right. I like Brie Larson a lot. I think that's no secret for her other movies. And I like that Samuel L. Jackson is in this a lot. Yeah. Because he's really, really a side character in every single Marvel movie.
Yes.
Except maybe the first Avengers.
Yeah. That's fair.
So it was nice to see him get a lot of screen time. There's definitely some humor there, but is it too cutesy and too funny? Probably. Does it showcase her powers?
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. I feel like we get I don't know. I mean, we get a better sense of her powers certainly in Endgame.
Yeah.
But here, it's just sort of...
That's after like 20 years.
You can do a bunch of stuff, and,
yeah.
I don't know. Also, I don't want to spoil her, but, okay. First of all, we have a friend who is very much against this movie existing because of the girl power. And I can't get on board with any of that. But I will say that I think having the soundtrack be solely like rock chicks of the 90s,
no doubt,
was a little distracting. Well, it's more than no doubt. I mean, it was L7 and even bands that weren't popular.
Oh no, that was just the first one that came to mind.
I don't know. It does.
It bangs the feminism drum.
It hammers home the point way too much. Now said friend has never seen the movie, so having an opinion about that just is weird. But I've seen it, and that's still kind of my opinion, that it beats the feminism drum a little too much. We get it. You're a female, and you're great, and you're powerful, and you're Brie Larson, and it's all great. But I don't know. Give me a little sense of something.
Yeah.
So I leave it with a B. I think it's middling for the MCU.
Yeah, honestly, we're not too far off from the same opinion. I think the girl power thing is maybe hit a little too hard. For me, it's less that that's a problem so much as I feel like the message is kind of distorted. It becomes less about girl power, more about humanity, and it doesn't send what it's trying to send. I think Brie Larson does an okay job. I think if we get another sequel, she'll get a lot better. I think she's going to improve as it goes along. I think it's just the nature of the character, who's kind of always a little cocky.
Okay. I don't know the character.
I'm not the most familiar either, but I've read enough comics to have the general gist. I liked Goose, even though it is adorable cat sidekick. Cat, quotation marks.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson, we
classic.
finally get to see Nick Fury actually do something. I know.
Yeah. We learned how he loses his eye.
Yep.
That was great.
Yes, and he actually is a much more playful character than we have seen before. And I liked the buddy comedy approach to him and Larson in this movie.
90s references? Too much? A little bit.
Maybe a smidge, but I gotta tell you, the 90s humor worked for me.
It went a little too hard for me, but...
Like the needs 3 hours to load thing actually got a legitimate chuckle.
Yeah, the blockbuster, when they landed the blockbuster.
Yeah, that was maybe a little forced.
It's all right, but that's a little forced.
Yeah. Thought the visuals were good, maybe a little too much CGI. I think maybe also takes a little too long to get her in full power mode, but at the same time, this is a movie that relies on a twist to get to the big revelation. So, possibly justified. I thought it was a fun ride. I would prefer another story set in the present rather than this only kind of matters. It's a B for me.
Yeah, I'd like to see her after Endgame.
Yes.
I guess, and what she does. All right, so top 5 here. Let's try and get these in under 5 hours. Toy Story 4.
Yes.
Is number 5. Unnecessary. Why did it exist? The third one, I mean, it made the perfect trilogy.
Yes.
There's never been a trilogy, in my opinion, with 3 A+, and Toy Story did it. But that being said, this is still one of the best movies of the year. I don't know how they keep making these characters so compelling, but they do. And I can't even say it's because of how great Tom Hanks is, even though he is. But just the writing on these movies is just so good. They made it a road trip movie. They almost sort of made it a buddy movie with Forky.
Yeah.
Portrayed by the great Tony Hale.
One of the big standouts.
One of the big standouts, and a great addition. And the story arc with the villains is great as well, because like all Pixar movies, it makes you look at things from all angles. And so whatever the doll's name was, I want to say Kitty Carryall, but that's the Brady Bunch doll. Whatever, Chatty Cathy or whatever. I forget.
Gabby.
Yeah, that's what it was. Gabby. And another home run for Pixar. I kind of appreciated that they actually veered away from the main cast from most of this movie.
Yeah.
And focused on Woody and Forky. I mean, at its heart, Toy Story has always been about Woody. You know, it's him and Buzz, but like everything's more or less from Woody's perspective.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You know, the first one he's realizing he's not Andy's favorite toy. The second one he realizes he's got this whole backstory and TV show. Yeah. You know, the third one is obviously he's about to be given away and whatever. Yeah. And everyone gets incinerated. So this for me is an A. I was very shocked about it. And they introduced more great side characters. Yeah. The Key and Peele is the the carnival duo. That was great. Yeah. It was great to see Bo Peep back. All the things. All right.
So whereas Joker was Schrodinger's movie, I would say Toy Story 4 is Schrodinger's sequel. It feels both necessary and unnecessary at the exact same time. The Where is Bo Peep thing,
but it's so good.
The Where is Bo Peep thing, I was very, very interested in, but I feel like it's one of my least favorite parts of this movie. Like, I feel like the more this got away from what it was trying to do, the better it was. Like, the Forky stuff is interesting. The problem is they wrap up all of Forky's entire arc an hour into the movie. And it's just like, okay, where are we going from here? Bo Peep stuff's interesting, but it also is just kind of peppered in throughout.
But it leaves a huge mark without giving spoilers.
It does. Yeah. It does, especially with how things resolve.
Obviously.
Yes.
Hence the without giving spoilers part.
Yes. But the one thing I got to give this movie major points for is this is the first time in the entire franchise of Toy Story where I've legitimately cared about the villain.
Yeah, I mean, 2 is just Al's toy barn, right? Isn't he? Oh, no, I guess Prospector Pete is the villain in 2.
Stinky Pete, yep.
Yeah, he stinks.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess, who's the villain in 1? Sid?
Yeah. Sid's toys are not villains, but...
No, Sid's toys are not villains, but I don't even think Sid's really... I don't think 1 has a villain. I think 1 is more... Buzz is almost the villain.
The conflict.
Yeah, like, I think that's the main villain. And then 3...
3's Lotso.
3 is Lotso. Ooh, yeah, you don't care about him either. Yeah, I agree. Well, and that's what I said. I really think they gave her a great arc.
Yeah, and I think that's really where this movie shines, alongside the absolute standout of Keanu Reeves, who... Honestly, I don't want Toy Story 5. I would absolutely watch a Duke Kaboom spin-off.
What a character to introduce.
With that being said, though, I do think Key and Peele are kind of phoning it in. It's less of their characters and more Key and Peele playing themselves, but sticking toys on top of them.
I think it's all right.
Yeah, it's funny.
Didn't work for me for Ryan Reynolds, I guess, as Pikachu, but it worked here. I don't know.
But for me, it was just like, really?
All right.
Yeah. I'm glad you got them. They're cool people, but at the same time, I kind of wish they tried a little more.
I liked all their little imaginary
scenarios.
Yeah, scenarios. They were funny.
Yeah.
All right.
It's got good laughs. It definitely got me emotional. It's nowhere on par with the first 3, though. I kind of wish they just made this like a really long TV special, because I feel like that's what this would have been much more catered to.
Okay.
For me, it's a B.
No way. Too low. The other 3 are all A pluses for you?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. I can't deny that, but I think this is shockingly good. Number 4 is Frozen 2. I know you're going to be way lower than me on this, but I didn't like this as much as some. The story's all over the place.
Seriously.
The PC nature of this movie is stupid. Which they lampoon hilariously in an SNL sketch where Kenan Thompson's like, "Why am I here? What am I doing in the forest?" Like, in Scandinavia. Well, it's mostly a skit about how Elsa's a big lesbian, and Kate McKinnon, plays that off, of course. You should check it out on YouTube. It's very funny. But what's great about that sketch is it really gets to the heart of every single thing in the movie. Yeah. Because at one point, Kate McKinnon's like, "Oh, we have to go, do this, waterfall thing," or da-da-da-da-da. She rattles off the thing, and then she just kind of laughs, and she's like, "I don't think this movie makes any sense." And it's true. Like, it really is. That sketch kind of hits all the points. The songs, I think, are okay. I will admit, Into the Unknown grew on me.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, well, this is no Let It Go. And it still isn't, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
For a Let It Go wannabe, they definitely tried their best to give it another go. The other songs, I can't really speak much to. I hated that stupid Lost in the Woods song. I know people like that. but I thought that was real dumb.
Yeah.
I don't know, just I liked some of the things they were trying plot-wise, but a lot of them just didn't really make sense.
Yeah.
And then I really don't like how it ended. So, for me, it's a B minus. Also, again, this is the original grade. I probably would grade it a little lower now if I was to rewatch it. But the whole thing about how it ends the same... This is, I guess, a spoiler if you saw Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet. But it ends basically the same way as Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet. The
Pretty
same
much.
exact things happen. So, all right. I know you hate this movie already, so I want to hear your grade. I'm a B minus on it.
Okay, so there's a scene in this movie that perfectly encapsulates my entire perspective on Frozen 2. About halfway through the movie, everybody's favorite annoying character, Olaf, decides to reenact the first movie.
Yeah, I'm sick of Olaf. Although I did think that part was funny.
Yeah, no. That was actually one of the few times the humor in the movie actually worked.
Okay.
And he's reenacting the first movie to a bunch of people that weren't there.
Right.
And they're on the edge of their seat. They're captivated and they're loving it. And at the end, he reenacts Frozen 2.
Oh, he reenacts the first half, Frozen 2.
And the audience, without giving spoilers, look very, very confused and then just start cheering because they feel like they're obligated to.
Right. That's
Perfect
funny.
metaphor.
Yeah, you're right.
Frozen 2, it tries to pose questions that I never had. Part of the problem is Anna and Elsa's parents are horrible, horrible people. Like, neglectful, abusive, terrible parents. And all this stuff is canon, and they're trying to play it as, but they came from different worlds, and they loved each other, and they loved their kids. No, they didn't. And the fact that you're trying to frame this for children...
Why are they horrible parents? I mean, they died so early in the first movie. They say it in Frozen 2?
They showed it in Frozen. They expanded upon it in the bad Olaf special.
I didn't watch that thing. That Olaf's adventure or whatever they ran before Coco.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
If they knew full well that... I'm sorry, spoilers. If they knew full well that what Elsa's abilities were, there was no reason for them to do what they did. Like, this movie proves that they were aware, and this first movie says, like, no, they didn't. Because they tried to, like, shove the kids away and made it worse. They were neglectful. And then in the Olaf special, we find out that not only were they neglectful, they pretty much treated their daughter like a freak.
Okay.
Like,
I guess I'll have to watch that. I don't know anything about that.
Like in one scene, it's
All
Anna
right,
and
we're
Elsa.
not grading that.
Yeah. It's Anna and Elsa reminiscing, and all of a sudden, Elsa opens up a case that's all gloves. That is all she got for years.
Oh, okay.
Like,
to stop her powers?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But back to Frozen 2. The storyline just goes all over the place. Yeah. So much of it doesn't make any sense. It's super dark. Both literally and figuratively.
Well, Disney's never shied away from dark. So I'm not going to...
Well, I mean, like, when you think about how the first movie was, like, really colorful and there was a lot of really cool things happening, this one, it's, like, there's several scenes where...
Well, the first movie should have been rated G. I mean, I think we can all agree. Like, there's... You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, it's true. It's true. But there's so many scenes where it's really hard to make out what's going on, and dumb decisions get made.
All right.
Really, really dumb decisions. And you're right. It ends exactly like Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Yes!
Painfully so.
Which you didn't even like that movie. I liked that one.
Yeah. For me, I think some of the songs are okay. Olaf by far gets the worst one in this one.
Yeah.
Olaf is also way worse compared to the first one.
His one in the first one wasn't even that good.
No, but it was at least tolerable.
What is it? The springtime or whatever?
Summer? In summer.
Okay.
This one is like when I'm older.
Yeah.
I liked some of the visuals. I think I'd say about 60% of the songs are good. Lost in the Woods has problems. I think it's goofy. And
there's no Love is an Open Door, though, in this one.
There's zero. The closest is something that happens in the first, 20 minutes, and it's not great. A lot of it doesn't make any sense. It's a D+ for me.
Well, I will admit this movie is bad. I'm not going to even fight you on that one.
Sorry about that.
And that's one of our biggest discrepancies, but I'm still not going to fight you on it.
No.
All right, Star Wars Episode, this is 9. IX is 9. The Rise of Skywalker. Yep. This thing made a $515 million just in the U.S. All right, look, I don't care about Star Wars. I've never cared about Star Wars. They're okay. Sometimes they're bad. Sometimes they're good.
Yeah.
But I went into this one, thinking, all right, look, everybody hated that last one.
Yeah.
That Rian Johnson did that we just discussed earlier. So I'm just going to watch this one and not even think about the hatred that the last one got.
Yeah.
Think about the hatred that this one kind of has already, because I'd seen it maybe on week 5. I thought it was fine. I admit some of the decisions that were made in the last one don't make any sense. I mean, by the characters.
No.
Also, the woman with the colored hair, was that, what's her face, Laura Dern?
Yep.
Is that Laura Dern? Okay.
Yep.
Laura Dern, I hated her character. She didn't help anybody in that last one. But here, I don't know, the characters seem to make sense with their decisions. I thought a lot of people got some interesting things wrapped up. I really liked the C-3PO bit with the memory stuff. So I don't know. I mean, I thought this movie had some humor in it. I thought the action sequences were fine. As not a Star Wars, purist / obsessive, I thought it was fine. I thought it was enjoyable. It didn't seem like its length. I definitely thought it was better than the last one. I thought it was better than Rogue One. I leave it with a B+. I thought it was a perfect, if it's going to quote unquote wrap up. I know Star Wars never wraps
really
up.
ends.
But, in terms of this 9 movie whatever,
yeah.
I thought it was a fine wrap up. It's a B+.
It's been hard to articulate my thoughts on 9 because there's things that I like about it and there's others that are just really, really out of place and feel awkward. I explained it to my friends in a spoiler-free review. This is the weirdest Star Wars movie ever made, and I still stand on that thesis.
Okay. I haven't seen all 9 of them, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely up there.
Yeah. This feels like there was a good movie in here, but it needed time to actually take time to think about the plot points and throw it all together.
Do you think it was too rushed because they knew it was the last one, so they threw everything in?
Yeah, I feel like they were trying to stick to a schedule and they weren't focusing so much on let's make a good movie so much as how can we please fans.
Okay.
And honestly, if you're going to get somebody for that job, you're not going to do much better than J.J. Abrams. It may not be a good movie, but he will at least give the fans what they want because that's what he does. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, there's things that he does in this movie that I like. There's a lot that I don't. I think a lot of character arcs are bizarre. I think the Carrie Fisher stuff is really weirdly placed.
We can all admit that her character should have died in the last movie.
Oh, agreed.
So they had to do something with her because Rian Johnson didn't kill her.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can only do so much.
Right.
But it's really weirdly placed. Adam Driver feels really, really like he's trying to hold this movie together, and bless him, but he can only do so much. He's only human. I think Rey has gone from really interesting character to super annoying, overpowered protagonist who needs to go away for a long time.
Okay, I didn't feel that way about her.
Yeah. The inclusion of classic villain feels super forced. And all the callbacks, some are good. The Lando stuff, we should have gotten Last Jedi. There's a lot I fight the Star Wars nerds on with Last Jedi, but I will admit he should have been in that. Glad to see him again, and most of his scenes are good payoff for that. But as a result, it's, like you mentioned, it's an okay conclusion, but it feels like a kind of meh sequel that could have been the perfect capper to a franchise that has been beloved for decades.
Okay.
It's a C- for me.
All right, well, I'm not going to fight you on that either because I don't really care about Star Wars. But I thought it was fine. Number 2, Lion King. This is easily the worst of the Disney.
Far and away.
Okay. I mean, I guess maybe I can't say that because I gave it a higher grade than Maleficent. But the problem with it is, it's just the same movie as the original. It is a shot-for-shot remake of the original movie, with less interesting voice work. I mean, look, it's basically just whatever. Like, I don't know. Toy Story 4 for you was like, why does this exist? But it's still okay. This is like, why does this exist? Period, end of sentence. Like, I don't understand, like, it's just not good.
It isn't.
It's fine. Like, visually, it's fine. Some of the voice acting is fine. Billy Eichner is fine. Yeah. Seth Rogen is fine. John Oliver is a little bit amusing. He's a little more than fine, maybe. Yeah. He's probably my favorite of the whole movie is John Oliver. Although Billy Eichner gets
Timon and Pumbaa are like the unsung heroes of this movie. But
I've never heard of Donald Glover being boring. I mean, like, say what you will about some of his stuff, but like, he's never been boring.
No.
And he put me to sleep here. Not literally like Aladdin, but
yeah.
But Beyonce is just what I'm over Beyonce anyway. But and Beyonce's song is not good. The new one they created to have an Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
It's just none of it matters.
No.
It looks fine.
Yeah. It's pretty.
People, I guess, enjoyed it if they never saw the first one. But yeah, CGI wise is great. But nothing matters about this movie.
Yeah.
So it's a C- for me.
Yeah, no, this is pretty much a case of how can you get so many talented people in a room together and get a result this bad.
Yeah.
Like, it is a shot-for-shot remake, but none of the joy, none of the fun, none of the intensity of the original. Everyone feels super wooden. Some people that you know are really talented actors feel like they just got the first take of their lines.
When's the last time you heard about Jonathan Taylor Thomas out-voicing someone?
When's the last time you heard about Seth Rogen out-voicing someone?
Well, Seth Rogen's good in this.
He is. He's exceptionally good in this.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, Jonathan Taylor Thomas in the first one was amazing.
Yeah.
And here, it's just like, it's just so boring.
It's really, really boring.
Yeah.
And the songs they try to put spins on the songs. Be Prepared, which was a great villain song in the first one, turns into, like, slam poetry in this one. It's bizarre. I will give it points to the fact that the visuals look really, really good. The problem is, it is a boring, lifeless movie. It is a D.
Yeah, it's not good. D. Wow, Justin. You're hating on all these movies. I think you've done one grade better than me once. Remember what movie it was?
Detective Pikachu?
Detective Pikachu is the only movie you graded higher than me. Jesus. And you wonder why I say you're a harsh critic. All right, now number one, I know you're lower than me on this because I love this movie. Avengers Endgame.
Yep.
It made what, 800 and something? 858 million GD dollars.
I was gonna say.
All right, this to me, talk about a wrap up. I mean, Star Wars, okay, whatever, but this was the culmination of 20 different movies, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
And we can all agree, middling results. Some of them good, some of them bad.
Yeah.
I think you and I have differing opinions on which ones are good and bad, but I think we can all agree that for the most part, except for that dumb Age of Ultron, the Avengers proper movies have all been pretty compelling.
Yeah.
You get everybody together, you have all the things, the villains, and Thanos specifically being in Infinity War in this. I thought this was a great wrap to the series. I thought it took a lot of interesting choices that I was a bit shocked about. Certainly with some movies already being on the slate, and you're wondering, okay, well, how are they going to pull this off? I feel like this is maybe the one movie we could even do spoilers on because it's not like anyone's not seen it. But I guess we'll still. Yeah, I know, but I guess we'll still not. But I look, everybody here is having a blast. I don't think you could ask for less confusing things with everything going on. I mean, there's literally probably 15 different things happening at any given time.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone could expect to do it perfectly, but I think this is about as close as you could get. I mean, I thought the Infinity War was actually a little confusing at parts.
A little bit.
Because there was so much going on. And they tried to put it all together. But here, I didn't feel that way, and I'm not sure why. But it's definitely, I think, better done than Infinity War. It does not feel its length at all. Now, here's one I watched at literally the 11:20 p.m. show, opening weekend.
Yeah.
I had a full day, and I really was like, all all right, look, if
Please don't be bad.
Yeah, I was like, if I fall asleep, I'm just going to try and see it again, before I get spoiled on it.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I was riveted. And I saw it by myself. I didn't even have anybody to like, hey, did you see that? Like, I saw it by myself, 11:20 Saturday night, opening weekend, and I freaking loved it. I thought it was a great cap to the series, and I leave it with an A.
Okay.
I think it is impossible to wrap up a 20-film series well.
I was going to say.
And this is about as close as we're going to get.
Yeah, I honestly won't deny that. Obviously, my grade not as high. But
an A is hard to beat, I know.
But, no, this is one of those that, like, it is truly an event film in every sense of the word. This is one of those that you just need to see with people, and you need to have that experience, because it's just downright electric. For me, I think it took a little while to get going. Their setup isn't bad. There's just a lot of the same for, like, the first 40 minutes.
Good Paul Rudd, though.
Good Paul Rudd. His stuff is a little forced, but...
I know, but you don't really like Ant-Man anyway.
Ant-Man's probably my least criticism of this movie, to be honest with you.
Is that right? All right.
Yeah, my problem isn't Ant-Man so much as how we get Ant-Man into the foray of this movie. Which led to...
But he wasn't in the last one.
He wasn't, but it led to a hilarious meme, but at the same time, it was still really, really forced. I'd like to walk back something that I said when we did the 2018 show, which was... Okay. I don't think the Russos watched the movies. It's not that I disagree with that. It's that instead of saying that now, what I feel like I want to say instead is the Russos instead decide, pick and choose for themselves what is canon and what isn't, which is frustrating when you know that things have happened and characters have done things.
Okay, but again, out of 20 movies, I think it's almost impossible
to get it all right.
To get it all right.
Yeah.
It's almost like The Simpsons. Like, so much has happened in The Simpsons that about 10 seasons in, they were just like, you know what?
We're going to let things happen.
Just, whatever, things didn't exist now that did. Like, it's hard to collect it all, I think.
Yeah, I mean, as the old saying goes, with time travel movies, doesn't matter how hard you go, that somebody's going to find plot holes.
Something's going to have a plot hole, right.
Yeah, and this is definitely an example of that. Some things I think work really well, and it is a great celebration of everything that's come up to this point. And the last hour and a half of this movie is the best the MCU has ever been.
Yeah.
By leaps and bounds. The problem is the journey up to that point is kind of hit or miss. The middle stuff, a lot of fun, but it's more callbacky than actual, really emotional and exciting. It's just more like, hey, remember that person? He's back now.
Well, I think of it a little bit like the Seinfeld finale. Like, they brought everybody back that had, one episode just to kind of, highlight them. I know you're probably not a big Seinfeld fan, so you maybe didn't see it, but they basically go to court. Yeah. And so all their recurring characters come back and talk smack on them in the courtroom. So it's like you just see little blips of people, and it's like,
right.
I think they were just like, look, we have to stick, X, Y, and Z in this movie. Like, what's-her-face from Doctor Strange?
Right.
And Snowpiercer, what the heck's her name? You know who I mean.
Tilda
Swinton.
Yeah.
That famous Rachel McAdams scene in
Snowpiercer, yes.
Tilda Swinton. Did she need to be in this movie? Absolutely not.
No.
But she was, and it was fine to see her, and I was like, oh yeah, Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, to me, it was kind of that.
Yeah. So, as a popcorn movie, I go back and forth on the 3 hours. I would probably cut at least 20 minutes off of the, first hour of the movie. But for the most part, it's a fun ride. It's a nice cap. I'm excited to see what happens next. It's a B.
Okay. B. Wow. So what is your favorite Avengers movie? Avengers?
Yeah, probably OG.
All right. Well, I gave that an A as well, so I guess I can't really complain about that. But, boy, yeah. I think you're way too low on all these Marvel movies. Except Captain Marvel. You were right on the money there with that B.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. That's the list. Yep. 100 movies, many of them horrible, many of them great. What can I say? I don't know what 2020 looks like. What a year.
Anyone's guess.
Remember movies?
Remember theaters?
Remember going to the theater? So, you and I have sort of discussed briefly, time and time again about doing the 2020 list, and I'm just like, I don't know even how to do that.
Yeah.
And look, and that's partially why I do a weekly movie roundup because I don't know what 2020 even looks like.
Yeah.
At this point in time, I just asked our friend, whose fiance works at Regal, about when they plan on reopening, and she's like, I don't know. They're talking about end of August now. So I said, all right, well, I guess Mulan's going to get pushed back again, you know.
And it already has.
The only one. Has it? Is it not August anymore?
It's indefinitely now. Well, no set date.
So, look, I don't know. Timmy Thaler is the number one movie of 2020, I guess, at this point.
Artemis Fowl, Best Picture.
Timmy Thaler, Bad Boys for Life. I mean, these are the movies.
Sonic.
But this is the 2019 list. It's odd to do it 7-8 months after the fact, but COVID happened, and
life gets in the way.
Well, it was just hard to,
It is.
I've done a couple of Zoom videos, which have been fine, but until recently, your Zoom wasn't that great. And
accurate.
Now that you have your new phone, I'm like, well, at this rate, I can actually have people at my house, so you may as well just come do it live.
Why not?
So this has been fun.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, eye-opening about the Beauty and the Beast bit. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that one for a while.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you for joining, and
thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. And if you haven't seen the other videos, check them out. They're in 4 parts, 25 movies each one. So yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Till next time.